half in the bag. These jerks can't fix the VCR right.
Now, Mr. Plinkett, after I finish setting up your Wi-Fi, you'll be able to stream anything you want on this brand new 125-inch 16K TV, all in complete surround sound. I even set you up with all the pluses.
Disney Plus?
Yep.
Paramount Plus?
Uh-huh.
Apple TV Plus?
Oh boy, yeah.
ESPN Plus?
Yeah, huh?
CNN Plus?
Yep.
Keanu Reeves Plus?
Yep.
Fisher Price Plus?
Yep.
What about all the rest, like Hulu?
Sure thing.
Netflix?
You betcha.
Amazon Prime?
Uh-huh.
HBO Max?
Yep.
CBS All Access?
Yep.
Peacock?
Uh-huh.
Showtime Now?
Yep.
Epic Now?
Uh-huh.
Stars?
Uh-huh.
BritBox?
Sure thing.
Shudder?
Oh, yeah.
Fubo TV?
Why not?
Kubo TV?
Of course.
Boo Boo TV?
Oh, yeah.
Philo?
Uh-huh.
Sling?
Oh, hell yeah.
Pluto TV?
Sure you betting yup.
Vidgo?
Si, senor.
Slice?
No problem at all.
Ginks?
Oh, yeah.
Redbox?
Oh, God, yeah.
DC Universe?
Nope, yep.
Fandango Now?
That one's my favorite.
Tubi?
Uh-huh.
Crackle?
Sure thing.
Popcorn Flicks?
You betcha.
Shout Factory TV? IMDb TV?
Yep.
Flix Fling?
Uh-huh.
Quibi?
I need to change my diaper.
Crunchyroll?
Yep.
Hopster TV?
Yep.
Pureflix?
Yep.
The Dove Channel?
Yep.
Broadway HD?
Yep.
Filmstruck?
Yep.
Fandor?
Sure thing.
Gaia?
Oh, yeah.
Quello?
Uh-huh.
Reverie?
Uh-huh.
Moody?
Uh-huh.
Canopy?
Uh-huh.
Screambox?
You betcha.
Sundance Now?
Yep.
Hayu?
Uh-huh.
AMC Premiere?
Yep.
Lifetime Movie Club?
Uh-huh.
Hallmark Movies Now?
Yep.
History Vault?
Uh-huh.
Epics?
Yep. That one too, but that leaves your monthly TV bill at around $17,000.
Well, that seems reasonable. Does this mean I can finally watch my Night Court tape?
Better than that, Mr. Plinkett. You can stream any episode of Night Court whenever you want. No VCR needed.
You know, I waited almost a decade for those two clowns to fix my VCR, and now you come along magically and just pimp out all my shit for me? Huh. You know, I think those two guys were conning me.
Yeah, it's a shame what happened to Mike and Jay. Murdered in their own shop. Why, I even heard that somebody spiked their drinks with hallucinogenics. Oh, I wonder who would have done that. But when Lightning Speed VCR Repair heard about...
Lightning fast.
Yeah, sure, whatever. When we heard about how long it took you to get your VCR repaired, why, we just knew we had to jump in and help yous. However we could.
God bless you, sir.
Now, there's just the matter of the bill.
Oh.
Let's see here. You factor in the TV, the cost of speakers, carry the one, and of course, labor. Your total comes out to be $597,642.11.
Oh, gee whiz. That's nearly all of the cash that I've been saving for the last 100 years. But that sounds reasonable, I guess. I'll start counting it out right now. Anything for Night Court.
Yes. Yes, anything. Anything for Night Court. Are all those suitcases filled with the cash?
10,000, 20,000, 30,000.
Hey, don't you know they're rebooting Night Court? Never mind.
60,000, 70,000.
Hold it right there.
Oh my God!
Ha ha! It's us, Mike and
Jay.
Mike and Jay.
But I thought you were...
Dead? Well, we were.
Or rather, our clones were.
Your clones?
You stupid asshole. Do you think we're dumb enough to go outside and work during a pandemic? We've been holed up in Mr. Plinkett's basement this whole time.
But...
Time to move on to the next suitcase.
You see, when China released the coronavirus, their big plan was to sell dumb Americans clones of themselves to go out and work. That way, if your clone caught COVID and died, you'd still be alive.
They didn't advertise it very well, though. I think the only people to buy clones were us and Herman Cain.
Yeah, that explains all those tweets he made after he died.
You see, we've known for years that Mr. Plinkett had over $500,000 hidden somewhere in his house.
Yeah, we just didn't know where. But then, when we saw you snooping around the VCR repair shop, we told our clones to play along.
You led us right to it.
I've been searching for those 4 suitcases for over a decade now.
520,000, 530,000, 540,000.
Thank you, whatever your name is. Wow, Jay, what do you know? A crazy scheme of mine actually worked.
Ah! But it didn't, you motherfuckers! You see, right now, as we speak, Mr. Plinkett is counting out all of his cash, and he's gonna give it to me. That's right, me, motherfuckers! So in the end, you didn't really... Ow, fuck!
So long, 2020.
Why am I counting? I don't remember anything that just happened. Who are you guys? Are you here to help me watch Night Court?
Oh, you know, Mr. Plinkett, we would if we could, but sadly, Night Court isn't streaming on any of the 143 million apps you have.
Yeah, so you'll have to watch the old episodes you recorded on your VHS tape.
And for that, we're gonna have to
Fix your VCR!
Yes!
Oh, how much is that gonna cost? Is this enough money?
We're back, baby. We're back.
Hey Mike, since it's Christmas, do you want to watch Wonder Woman 1984?
Hey, why not? But does it matter that I haven't seen the first 1,983 films? Whatever. It's just a superhero movie.
Finally, with first-run movies streaming directly to a nice home theater system, we can avoid the horrible, horrible nightmare that is the movie theater experience.
Mm-hmm. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some days
starting.
Okay. Feel so very far away. And others,
Hello?
what?
My car warranty is about to expire.
Do you want a beer?
Like a
Do you want a beer?
No,
Oh,
I'm
Oh,
good.
uh,
How's that possible, sir? My car expired 5 years ago.
and the lessons that lay ahead.
It's going to cost me how much?
Looking back,
Well, sure. I hold on. I have to eat these potato chips while I talk. It's part of. The doctor said I gotta keep eating at certain times of day to go with my medication. Now, what's that? How much money do I owe you?
Whose dog is barking? Is that your neighbor's dog barking?
No, it's somebody from the Acme Car Warranty Service.
No, outside. You got a barking neighbor. Your neighbor's dog is
My
barking.
neighbor's dog barks every day at this time. He doesn't like mailmen.
Oh, okay.
No,
What's the doorbell ring? I think that you got the delivery.
someone answered. I'm on the phone. I'm eating my potato chips. I'm eating my potato chips. My microwave's going off. It means my TV dinner's
Who are
done.
you talking to?
I'm buying a car warranty. People are eating potato chips.
Wonder Woman 1984 is the latest entry in the DC cinematic universe. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a sequel to Wonder Woman that ignores all that other stuff. The Joker movie's not a part of the DC universe, is it? Because that has Joaquin Phoenix and not Jared Leto. Do any of these movies fit together? Does this movie fit together? Too many storylines to keep track of. CGI cat lady. The Mandalorian overacting. Wonder Woman losing her powers, except for when she needs to use them, and then I guess she has them again. Magical wishing rocks. 1980s trying on clothes montages. Aerobics. Ghost rape. This movie's got everything. Oh, I kind of caught it. Oh, it spilled all over me.
You just don't got it, Jay.
What's it?
Je ne sais quoi.
Does Wonder Woman 1984 have it?
Have we said this before, but this movie was the cinematic equivalent of the Bluesmobile?
I think we've used that analogy a few times over the years.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. This is the best superhero movie since Spider-Man 3.
Oh, yeah. I did think of Spider-Man 3 a lot.
That's the movie it reminded me the most of.
Yeah.
Where it's like all over the place in terms of like, hey, that's pretty good. Hey, that's terrible. Hey, that's laughably bad. And I'm actually enjoying how stupid it is. Oh, but now it's really fucking boring. Why is there 15 plot lines? Shoehorned in villains. It's just like Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, well, the Kristen Wiig character was similar to the Topher Grace, where he was kind of jealous of Peter Parker, and so he became like evil from the Venom slime, and
it's also the Jim Carrey in Batman Forever. It's Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
The villains in comic books are often envious of the superhero, but we're going to talk about Wonder Woman 1984 today, and I don't know if you want to preface it with the reason why we're talking about it. It's a special movie. It signifies the end of tentpole blockbusters.
In more ways than one, maybe.
Yes, because the kind of movie that this is checks all those boxes of the miserable, over-bloated, big budget, popcorn, big $1 trillion money-making nightmare.
You're watching money burn on screen.
Yeah, that certain movies have become compared to other quality TV or movies that are infinitely better. I'm like, I'm watching it, I'm like, this is so bad.
It's junk.
There were some good parts or good things. It's one of those movies.
Well, when you throw that much shit into the movies, some of it's bound to stick. That's the thing.
This feels like one of the death throes of that kind of movie and that kind of movie-going experience, which is sad in a way because some of these movies can be good.
Well, like it's funny because everybody always compares DC to Marvel, and the Marvel movies are always consistently good, average to good, but they all have kind of a sameness to them. And then you look at the DC movies, and it's like every different direction. You have a movie like this, or you have a movie like The Joker, which I didn't personally connect with, but a lot of people liked that movie because it was so like serious and dramatic, and that was a quality Joaquin Phoenix performance. And then you have Shazam, which is like a kiddie cartoon movie. It's just like every possible thing. There's nothing to connect any of these movies. I don't know. I don't know what the DC, what their goal is with these movies. Just try a bunch of different shit? I don't know.
I don't think they have a roadmap necessarily like Marvel did, like Kevin Feige laid out from the very beginning.
Well, they started one in the very beginning. It was Zack Snyder was in charge of all this shit.
Yeah.
And that went off the rails almost immediately.
Yeah.
And now it's just like a free-for-all.
It's been very surreal.
Patty Jenkins, you directed one of the only good DC movies. You only directed it. You didn't write it. You want to write the second one? I had to look that up because I saw that in the credits. It's like, did she write the first one? And she didn't.
But she also wrote and directed Monster, which is a very good movie. So it's like, okay, she can write a good movie.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean she can write a superhero.
That's true. It's a very, very different type of movie.
And Monster is based on a true story.
Yeah, it's very character driven. It's very small.
Story existed already. Patty Jenkins wrote the script, and then there's some other people attached as screenwriters, and I looked this up too because I didn't look it up because I was wondering if she wrote the first one. I just looked it up because it was so bad. I'm like, who wrote
this shit?
And then there's a couple guys like attached to other DC projects.
Yeah, Jeff Johns is one. I know he's a DC guy.
But you could tell Patty Jenkins created the story.
Which is interesting because the first movie, everyone was touting the female-led action movie. It's a feminist superhero movie, which is fine. You get to this movie though, and the entire movie hinges on her longing for a man, her dead boyfriend that she knew for a month. It's 80 years later or whatever, and she's still obsessed with this man. And then there's like a cat fight, literal cat fight between these two ladies. It feels like 10 steps back from the first movie.
Yeah, I saw a couple comments about that where it's like Wonder Woman can't survive without a man in her life, and I was like, oh, eye roll, like, okay, they're gonna do a love story thing. What's the problem? And I watched it, and they were kind of right.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, are you waiting for someone?
No, just me.
Like, she didn't find any other man to love, like, because he said, why don't you date another guy? There's plenty of guys out there. Not you.
Yeah.
Is it? How do you perceive it as a longing, love that spans across oceans of time, or that she's just like a blank slate, like pathetic nobody?
That's how she comes across.
And that's like, I don't know. I was just thinking about that. It's like a character like Batman can carry a movie without a love interest. I guess he has a little. Batman has like he's kind of tortured himself. He's got two personas, and Wonder Woman is just like, she stops guys at a mall, and then she goes back to work.
Yeah.
Like there's literally nothing there.
Yes.
To work with.
Yeah.
And until you bring in Chris Pine to save the day, I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the weird thing too about the opening. Like they have the flashback to her on Mascara or whatever the fuck her planet is, her world.
I don't know.
And that whole opening is completely pointless. It has nothing to do with anything.
That was the worst.
It looks terrible. It's like
that was an IMAX sequence.
The jungle gym of death that they're running across.
Yeah.
For some reason,
American
they let this
Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, they let this little girl compete, and it goes on forever, and it just keeps going. And then you get to the end, and it's like the lesson is, you have to. You
Follow
can't,
the rules?
You can't. Yeah, you can't look for an easy fix or a cheap way to. You can't cheat your way out of a bigger problem, which I guess kind of ties in.
Of the movie.
But that's also something that an 8-year-old knows. An adult definitely knows. We don't need that 15-minute opening scene to teach us that.
The little moral lesson of you can't find a shortcut, but you can sometimes. Sometimes a shortcut is really valuable. I don't know, and I guess that goes with the plot of Max Powers, Pedro Pascal.
Max
Powers.
Max Power? Is that his name?
I don't know.
It's Max something.
Is it Max Powers, Homer Simpson's alias that he used?
Is it?
I think it's Max Gold. You start with that opening. We have the opening. I think is like 18 minutes long. I mean, it's like literally the first act of a regular movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it could be 5 minutes long if that's the point. Is she cheats at a race, but it just keeps going.
Then they just start saying like empty platitudes.
That's the whole movie.
Like
her speech at the end is more of that shit.
Yeah, I couldn't even hear what she was saying, and I wasn't even paying attention at that point. But in the beginning, yeah, the platitudes are just, I was just laughing. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm gonna write them up on the screen now.
That is the only truth, and truth is all there is. You cannot be the winner because you are not ready to win. And there is no shame in that. Only in knowing the truth in your heart and not accepting it. No true hero is born from lies.
Like patience, diligence, and the courage to face the truth. One day, you will become all that you dream of and more. And everything will be different.
Okay, so after that opening sequence, which was overly long.
Because then we have another scene right after that that feels like the opening of a movie, with the whole mall heist.
That's the better way to introduce Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Is a classic Wonder Woman saves the day situation.
And it's a super corny scene, which I was okay with. I liked that scene.
That's the thing. Is
that was like Sam Raimi Spider-Man, schmaltzy, corny garbage, and I loved it.
It reminded me of the Richard Donner Superman movies, you know, where it's just like kind of goofy. And the DC stuff is not really known for that.
Hold tight.
But, and also too, Patty Jenkins shoots on film.
Yeah, I was surprised to read that this was film.
Yeah, it was 35 millimeter and then 70 millimeter for the IMAX. And so it had that like legit, like grainy, real grainy film look, like it was from the 80s almost. Like it was like a real movie. Like it wasn't super clean and digital. You know, I know you can add film grain to give it a movie look, but it looked like real, like film. And so it kind of legitimately felt like throwback. And so
aside from some of the effects.
Well, the effects in the beginning were a little not great. I don't really care about effects anymore. I really just, if something looks bad, like CGI-wise, I just don't care. I just don't.
Well, then it's like an hour before Wonder Woman show. I mean, we see Diana Prince, of course, but before there's any sort of like Wonder Woman action. Yeah. I think it is over an hour before any. I think the next scene is that Egypt action scene, the car chase scene.
Yes, that's the next big action scene. So where did this movie go wrong? Can we add up? Well, one, I didn't understand anything that happened.
Wishes, Mike. This is the weirdest sequel to Wishmaster I've ever seen.
I wish this movie was never made.
And I've seen Wishmaster 4.
Somebody said, let's make the movie take place in 1984.
Yeah, that is the title of the film.
84? Yeah. I forgot the title. I didn't know it was 84, 87, 89.
It really doesn't matter. They hardly do anything with the 80s aspect of it.
Well, other than you mean like...
As far as like they don't play up the nostalgia factor too much. It's like the mall at the beginning.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, there's not a lot. There's like no pop songs in the movie. There's no, aside from the mall at the beginning, we see like an arcade. There's almost no 80s stuff.
Did we watch the same movie?
I'm just saying, like, I mean, a couple fashion things here and there. Very little of the movie has anything to do with the fact that it takes place in 1984. Aside from some very superficial, on the edges of the frame stuff.
Who are you?
I'm thinking of like Stranger Things, where it's like 80s in your face all the time.
Oh my God, that's what this was, Jay.
I didn't get that vibe at all, but maybe I was just distracted by all the nonsense.
Maybe you were just following the amazing story.
I was trying to follow the plot, which is classic sequel. We need to put more villains in it.
Why isn't this beer cold?
What?
Why isn't this beer cold?
Because it's been sitting out here for the last...
No, it was in the fridge.
I put it in the fridge when I got here.
That's why it's not cold. You...
Do you quit? Did I have to finish this myself? They did a good job of building her up in the first movie, as far as like feeling like a real hero. That was the thing that stuck. Like, I don't remember that movie very well. I only saw it the one time in the theater, and I thought it was fun. I thought it was pretty good.
The first movie was pretty good.
And it felt like she is a hero. She was a fish out of water. She got used to her environment. She learned things from humans. She learned the world wasn't so black and white. There's like an arc to her character, and then there's nothing. They have nothing to do with her. And it also contradicts, I don't know how much this matters, but when you get to like, I think it's in Batman v Superman or Justice League, they say that she's basically been in hiding since the events of the first Wonder Woman movie, since World War I. Like, no one knows where she is. She's been in hiding. And in this movie, she's in the mall in her Wonder Woman costume. She's working in the public with just still her same name. Like, you'd think she'd at least have an alias.
Yeah.
So people don't catch on. So, I don't know. Does any of this shit matter? Does continuity matter in these movies? I did see an article that said that Warner Brothers wanted to cut one of the, because there's 2 openings back to back. There's what we talked about, the Olympics thing, and then there's the mall scene. And Warner Brothers wanted her to cut one of the 2. And she said no. So she has enough power where she could tell Warner Brothers to fuck off. Yeah. I'm going to make my movie as self-indulgent as possible.
She apparently doesn't know how to write a story for a character, for a strong character. And I'm using this because people use it as a crutch or a defense with this movie, is that you don't like this movie because you don't like strong female characters. No, we don't like bad movies. I love a movie with a strong female character. This movie does not have one.
No.
Wonder Woman is a flat line in this. And you could have done so much more with that gap of time between Wonder Woman 1 and this one, where, like you said, she's just still doing my thing, writing things. Like, she could have gone off the wagon. She could have gone full like Luke Skywalker on the island. She
gone crazy from all this time passing.
Something interesting, and then she has to like find her strength again, or I don't know what the hell you do with the Wonder Woman character. All I know is they did nothing with her character. Then the movie started, and I guess while she's working at the Smithsonian, she goes around stopping petty crimes. Somehow. I don't know how she's always there.
Because she's a superhero.
Wow. This is incredible.
That's why I think Batman is the best like DC superhero, because he's like grounded in reality. You know what I mean? And I like the fantasy.
There's more to work with, like psychologically, and he works with the cops, so that they have the bat signal. He knows where crime is.
Yeah, he has technology that answers those questions. He's just a regular man, but he has a lot of technology.
Yeah.
So that makes his character interesting, and that's why his arch nemesis, the Joker, is interesting, because he's the polar opposite. He's the antithesis of Batman. Batman is law and order and justice, and the Joker is anarchy and chaos.
Well, and that's why Kristen Wiig's character is so interesting in this movie, because she's jealous of Wonder Woman's shoes. Such strong female characters.
So Patty Jenkins said, I want to make a movie about how the 80s were bad and Trump. And as much as you say it, like I didn't read a single fucking thing about this movie.
Well, visually he looks like Trump.
First of all, you start off like, what do you think of when you think of the 80s, right? Obviously you think of the fashion. You think of big shoulder pads on women. You think of the terrible music. You think of Rubik's Cube. You think of Ronald Reagan, Cold War. Reagan's got his finger on the button, the nukes, that all comes up later, the Soviet Union. And then that was the era of Trump's rise to power or stardom.
The yuppie businessman.
The yuppie.
That classic type archetype.
Yes, the Gordon Geckos, right?
Yes,
the white guys with the red suspenders in Wall Street making money. Donald Trump had his book. What's his famous book?
What's that called?
Donald Trump has this famous book. I don't know what it's called. I don't know. I could see it in my head.
I know it. Yeah, I see him leaning against the building.
Yeah. And so and then this the Pedro Pascal character very much so looks like him.
I am not a loser. He's a loser.
It's a word Donald Trump isn't usually at a loss for.
We have losers.
He's called fellow Republican Karl Rove a loser, a proven loser, and a total loser.
Visually, he looks like him. I guess I wasn't thinking of Trump so much outside of the visual, just because he feels like that stock 80s character.
Right.
More so than specifically Trump.
Why are you doing this? Don't you have enough?
Why not more? Why not wish for more?
But they don't know what you're taking from them.
We want what we want!
The plot of the movie is there's a magic stone
that grants wishes.
When you touch the magic stone, it grants wishes.
And his wish is to be the magic stone.
He basically wished for more wishes, the genie paradox, right? Which is what everybody says. I'd wish for more, unlimited wishes.
Right.
And you can't do that. Why not?
Them's the rules, I guess.
Them's the rules.
But he gets around it by wishing that he was the personification of the magic wish rock.
Yeah.
And I guess he needs other people to make wishes to fuel his power? Something? This is when it turns to gobbledygook?
I didn't understand anything. At first I thought, okay, he's just going to wish that all of his all the bad land that he bought has oil deposits on it. That's what I thought he was going to wish for.
That's not exciting enough for your comic book movie.
And he's going to become like super wealthy really fast and maybe like then go bonkers and build a missile that's going to blow up the moon.
And Wonder Woman has to lasso the missile.
Yeah, nice and simple, nice and Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve.
Is that Superman 4 where he collects all the nukes?
Yeah, and throws them into the sun and creates Nuclear Man.
There's a lot of Kristen Wiig early on, like to the point where you think she's going to be a more important role, but then she ultimately just ends up being the heavy for the main bad guy.
Yeah, right.
Which is weird. It'd be like if, I don't know, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the heavy, the big muscle guy that he fights, if we had to spend like 30 minutes setting up his backstory when he's ultimately pointless.
Well, the cheetah or leopard or whatever.
Cheetah,
yeah. That character, I guess, is the official arch nemesis of Wonder Woman in the comic books.
And they really did her justice. A 5-second fight scene that's terrible.
Yeah, where it's something like she's like kind of like the Venom to Spider-Man, like the opposite of Wonder Woman, where she's, I don't know, filled with jealousy or emotional turmoil or something, and Wonder Woman is more grounded and peaceful in her brain, and they have to bitch slap each other.
Well, the early stuff with her made sense. It ultimately ends up being pointless, but it's like she idolizes Diana Prince. She's like, I want to be just like her, beautiful and elegant and smart. But when you make a wish, it's the monkey's paw, where then something bad happens or something gets taken away from you. And she starts out as a nice person, but as she becomes hot and cool, she starts to become a horrible person. And then she decides she wants to be a cheetah.
Yeah. She says, I want to be an apex predator. I mean, if you're
But why did she want to become a cheetah? I'm assuming this isn't the backstory to the character in the comics.
She liked her in the beginning, she says, I like the animal print. And she goes, rawr. That's why, Jay. That's why.
That's amazing. That's, great writing.
I mean, to give the movie its credit, these are based on silly characters from a comic book.
Sure, you gotta have something.
1948, you know.
I would have been fine if you're going to focus on Kristen Wiig, which you could cut her out of the movie, it wouldn't make any difference, and then you'd have a tighter movie that's just about Pedro Pascal. He's your villain. But they're like, we got to put another villain in. We got to put Cheetah in. I would be fine, one or the other. If Kristen Wiig was the main villain, but then I guess she has to turn into Cheetah because that's the villain. But her just becoming like more angry as the movie went along, like that kind of worked on its own, isolated from everything else.
They didn't learn their lesson from Venom and Sandman.
Yeah.
In Spider-Man 3. Didn't Sam Raimi like famously say, I don't want to have two villains in
He didn't want Venom in the movie, but the studio forced him to put Venom in there.
But yeah, Kristen Wiig, very beginning, she drops her briefcase.
Everything falls out.
And everything falls out, thus
I thought I was watching Ghostbusters for a minute. I know, it's like the exact same performance.
Yes.
And I like Kristen Wiig for the most part.
The same character. No, Kristen Wiig is good in anything but these kind of big blockbuster movies. Yeah, she meets Diana Prince, and I think she's lesbian for her because she immediately asks her out to dinner.
An animal print. Do you want to get lunch? I'm not now, obviously. It's morning, but later today or whenever, like around like lunchtime.
Well, yeah, it's set up almost like, yeah, she is in love with Diana Prince.
Right.
It turns out she's just jealous of her, which again, go back to the feminism. All these women jealous of each other and catfighting.
Yeah, and they should have, like if they're going to do the jealousy thing, yeah, that could have been a whole movie in itself if you just remove Max Powers.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah.
Both of those storylines could have been a movie.
Yeah. And Max Powers, you tone that down, because when they go to Egypt, and he's like, I'll give you a giant wall that tears Egypt in two and does something and deprives these people of water, and you give me all of your oil. Ha! I already gave my oil to Saudi Arabia. Well, I'm going to take your security guards and your tanks and then go over to Saudi. Like, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. Like, get that out of there.
Well, I also love that Egypt scene. Diana Prince and Steve, I want to keep calling him Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is, Chris Pine.
Just say Chris Pine.
They go to Egypt to find Pedro Pascal, and they don't do anything clever or do any sort of detective work. They're just driving on a road, and they happen to drive past him.
That was him. That was Max Lord.
Oh, yeah.
In all of Egypt.
Right.
Oh, there he goes.
Egypt only has one road, Jack.
Based on this movie, that's what I would come to the conclusion, because that's a great action scene, too. It's like complete schlock. That whole car chase scene.
Oh, that was fine with that.
I was too, because it was like ridiculous.
Yeah. It kind of felt like a lot of it was. I was having like Raiders flashbacks, you know, that kind of like where you could see the ground, and you know they're only going 20 miles an hour, maybe 10, because the ground's moving real slow, and you could tell a lot of it was real. You know, obviously when cars are flying in the air, it's not real, but it looked like real, like Spielbergian in camera kind of like real cars and people.
Some of it, yeah,
and not too like Michael Bay-ish and CGI.
Some of the shots, though, like there's a head-on shot of her running down the road that looked terrible. The kids playing soccer when she grabs them.
Oh yeah, that's silly.
That shot of them rolling where it's so clearly a dummy. It's like they just left that in the movie.
And then they go to Egypt because they find it was it like a decommissioned jet fighter?
Yeah, it's at the Smithsonian.
Yeah,
and I guess it's just completely fueled up.
It's fueled up. It's been fully maintenanced within the last couple days.
Yeah, and a World War I pilot can figure out how to fly it right away.
World War I, and they don't need helmets or ear protection in a jet that is extremely loud. They just sit in it, and it's you can hear a pin drop in the cockpit.
Yeah,
a commercial airliner's louder than that.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there inside the jet, like with nothing, no helmets, and also, I'm not an expert. I mean, he says it in the film. He's like, "Wow, you have planes that can fly from here to Cairo without refueling?"
You have a plane that can fly from here to Cairo in one shot.
Again, I'm not an expert. Sure. I'm not an aviation or airplane expert. But just using common sense, I don't think a fighter jet can make it from Washington, D.C. to Cairo. Because they have aircraft carriers, they land on to refuel, they're meant for combat, not for long distance, not like a commercial airliner is meant for long distance. So I know I'm making specific points about a silly comic book movie.
Like I said before, something has to matter. When you have a movie where you just keep saying, this doesn't matter, this doesn't matter, this doesn't matter, it all adds up.
Yeah.
Because that same scene, I'm confused about Wonder Woman's powers, because I guess she kind of learns to fly in this movie, sort of. But in that scene, this is where, because I know one of the few things that everybody knows about Wonder Woman is she has the invisible jet. And they tried to cram that in here by her just randomly, out of nowhere, saying like, I think when I was a little kid once, I kind of made something turn invisible. Maybe I'll just try that now. I mean, I know they're trying to hide from, everyone else that's
chasing them. Yeah,
but it's like just all of a sudden, like, oh, I made something invisible once.
She references her father. Her father taught her a magic spell.
My father hid the mascara from the world, and I've been trying to learn how we did it.
She never thought to use it until this very moment.
Once you evoke like a passed down generational thing that's woven into your family structure, that it gives it weight. If you just say, oh, one time I figured out how to make something disappear by like reading it or watching a YouTube tutorial, then it doesn't have so much weight. But she goes, my father.
My father.
These are tricks. These are tricks of the ear.
Sure, yeah.
That they use to fool the weak-minded.
Throw some schmaltzy music under it.
When I was a little
And you're not thinking about the fact that, wait, she's never done this before or since.
Did it with a coffee cup and then lost the coffee cup. That's supposed to add tension too. Oh, she did it once and it just sort of worked. Is it going to work this time? Well, of course it is.
Throw that stuff in earlier in the movie so it pays off. You don't just like introduce it and then have her do it immediately. It's the same with her golden suit that shows up at the end. They're in her apartment at one point, and it's like wrapped in newspaper. He's like, what's this thing? She's like, oh, that's a golden suit of armor. I don't know, maybe I'll wear it someday or something. I don't know.
Well, that'll come in handy if I ever lose my powers.
If I ever have to fight a cheetah woman.
with barely any powers because I lost them wishing on a magic stone. There's a little post-it note that says all that. That's the problem with this movie, is like we're making fun of the how much jet fuel they have and just nonsense because the storyline, the plot, and setups, payoffs, character arcs,
basic foundations of a movie.
Basic foundations are not there.
Yeah.
It's like looking at a destroyed house, like that's just crumbled to pieces, and we're like making fun of like the bathtub that's sitting out of like wreckage. You know what I mean? Look at that bathtub. Look at you know what I mean? That's kind of what we're doing because it's the movie's such a mess that it's almost hard to nail down what to talk about.
I was just thinking, you know what makes that any even worse when she wears that golden suit of armor? You were saying it's like, oh, because she's weak because she lost her powers. At that point in the movie, she has her powers back again.
No.
Yeah, she does, because she gives up Steve Rogers.
No, she just says bye to him, and
that's her renouncing her wish.
No. She will renounce her wish in a future date, in a future time, and there is a moment during the fight, and I think that's the moment she renounces her wish.
You renounced your wish. I had to. And so do you.
But the weird thing is, once she runs away from Chris Pine, we never see him again.
Yeah.
They should have had Chris Pine standing there, and he
turns back into the normal.
Yeah, like morphed into that guy, but have him kind of standing there on the street corner, like maybe you could have him looking up at a plane, like watching a plane go by, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then like all of a sudden he goes like this, like after that moment happens, he goes. Like, WTF?
Yeah. Wait, we do see him again at the very end.
At the very end, when they meet up, and he's himself.
But you're saying we need a visual cue that she has renounced the wish.
Yes, exactly.
And we see him turn back down.
We know Chris Pine died, and she renounced her wish because she got her powers back. She did it mid-fight, but they didn't tell us that visually.
Yeah,
by showing,
that's really muddled.
It's like Chris Pine like left the set after that. Like she ran away, and his last line is like, "Diana, I won't ever forget you."
Yeah.
And it's like ADR'd by like the guy who gets everybody coffee. Do your best, Chris Pine impression.
That was really awkward.
Yeah.
I assume that voice was supposed to be the actual guy.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
I think it was.
We don't see enough of that actual guy.
Yeah.
That whole subplot is fucking weird, and that's a case of where we talk about them not thinking anything out, where it's like the moral implications of what's happening there is so creepy. And the movie, like, somebody involved with the movie has to understand that, and they just don't care.
Oh,
the idea that, like, they've taken over this guy's body.
Do they have sexual intercourse?
It's implied that they have sex.
Okay.
And then
I don't remember
they put that poor guy's body in peril multiple times.
That's the big part.
Throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And neither of them acknowledge how fucked up this is.
Yeah.
They're not, like, concerned about his safety at all. You would think they would... It just makes them both look really selfish. Well, it makes Diana look selfish. He's dead. He can't help it. Yeah, and like somebody involved with the movie had to understand that this is weird, and they just said, the audience won't know because Chris Pine's back.
Right.
And they just want to see these two together.
Yeah, it was
because they were so good in the first movie.
It was a stupid way to bring them back. They could have done anything. I mean, it's a superhero movie.
Well, that's the thing is like the wish is I wish that Steve Rogers was back.
Have him appear.
Just have him appear. The idea of having him like take over somebody else's body is bizarre.
It was bizarre.
And there's no real logic to it. It's just a thing that they decided to have happen.
Yeah, but at the very least, you could say, Chris Pine could say, let's go to Egypt and get that guy. Wait a minute. Won't I be endangering like this random guy's life?
Yeah,
and then she
some acknowledgement.
Don't worry, I protect you. Don't worry, I protect you. Okay. You know, that's it. Yeah. Done. You know, acknowledge.
Or don't have that in the movie at all. That's another thing where it's like he shouldn't even be in this movie.
How did Chris Pine die in the first one? His plane
He sacrifices himself. He flies his plane up into the sky to stop something. I don't remember. Whatever the threat is.
Okay, so he's dead. He's blown up.
Yeah. And that's, you know, that has some emotional weight to it. They've grown to love each other and he sacrifices himself. So bringing him back for this movie, just so they have to separate again at the end, it's just like repeating the same thing.
He's just like a greedy megalomaniac who just wants to make deals all over the place. The art of the deal.
Art of the deal.
That's the name of the book.
Yeah, yeah.
And by golly, the movie brought it to my head because that's what he's doing. He's making deals with people.
He is a con man and he is a cheat.
Didn't take long to find out you're nothing but a low-life con man.
I am not a con man!
Well, and there's that facade of being this big man, big company, runs this big company, and then he goes into his office and it's like empty and he doesn't have any employees.
Yes, and at heart, he's a fraud.
Yeah.
And then to hammer it home even further, at the end, he goes into a bunker, a U.S. government bunker, and is standing in front of the President of the United States SEAL, just screaming into the microphone, trying to start World War III.
Yeah.
And you don't get much clearer than that.
Which in the context of the movie is bizarre. He just goes on TV and he looks like a lunatic and his eyes are like bloodshot at this point.
A zombie president.
Everybody start wishing for things, and everybody does.
But anyway, he goes into the Oval Office and then he's trying to make a deal with the president, and then somehow he gets the information that there are satellites in orbit of Earth that will beam down a transmission to any TV, which includes computer monitors, somehow.
In 1984.
That don't receive television signals.
Not in 1984.
I guess it's the government. They got a magical super technology hidden in the mountains.
How? Uses particle beam technology just like the Star Wars program. Apparently it bathes the landscape in a signal of particles that goes in and fiddles with any technology it touches. New or old. Broadcast whatever you want.
But he's like, get me a chopper and take me. I thought he said, get me a chopper and take me to the satellites. Like literally to space. And I'm like, what? But he meant take him to the bunker. So he goes to the bunker and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I bet you wish that I wished that you wish that I would come in here and
There's
take
a lot
over.
of scenes of that. Don't you wish for, like,
yeah.
You do that once. You can't have him do that for every character that wishes for something.
Yeah, but he gets on a podium and then for no reason starts spinning whirlwinds. And there's like a glowing rod of light. It looks like the inside of the Death Star. And he's like, I'm Tron! What are your wishes? And people and everyone around the world wish something.
Yeah.
And so they show
My favorite is the Irish guy in the restaurant where he's like, I wish you'd drop dead. Yeah. And she says, I wish that you'd go back to where you came from. And immediately there's like a van outside to deport him.
Rounding up the Irish.
Like that very second. It's great.
Forcibly deporting people, Jay?
Yeah. The whole idea is that then Diana Prince, you know, she uses her magic lasso to tell the world to renounce their wishes. Right. So that's one, we have to assume that everybody in the entire world renounces their wishes.
And heard her.
But also, and understands her, because we're broadcasting all over the world, and there's probably tons of people that don't even speak English and don't know what the fuck she's saying. Right. Maybe somebody wished for a translator, I don't know. But so everybody renounces their wishes, but not every wish could be bad or selfish, right? Like, some people had to wish for good things.
Well, it's not that it's a bad or good wish, it's just that the renouncing the wishes will deflate the power or stop the power of the crystal man.
I guess. I'm just thinking of somebody like wishing, like, I wish I didn't have cancer, and then that gets reverted. They're fucked.
Does anybody, does the whole world remember this incident, or was it wiped from their memories?
There's aftermath of it, so I assume so.
Yeah.
I assume because we see like missiles start to go up, but then they disappear when the wishes are renounced.
Oh.
But we do see like rubble and the world's all fucked up.
What happens with Pedro Pascal? Does he just, he runs out and he finds his son, and his son said, "I wish that you loved me," or something?
Yeah, something.
How did he get out of that room? Or what happened?
I don't remember.
Honestly, I stopped watching the movie. I was like walking around, like doing stuff. I left it on in the background. I knew something happened.
You missed Diana's big emotional speech where she says absolutely nothing.
I saw her like blabbing.
She's babbling about the truth and the importance of the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like complete nonsense.
How to tell the whole world is being honest and true to yourself. It's the one great path to being truthful, honest, and loving, and platitudes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that whole end speech. And not only that, but it keeps going.
Yeah.
She starts giving her speech, and I was like, okay, that's it. And then she just keeps talking and saying nothing.
This world was a beautiful place, just as it was. And you cannot have it all. You can only have the truth. And the truth is enough. The truth is beautiful.
And then it just goes around the world, and all these things are happening, and all that dramatic music, and it's just like
the illusion of emotion, the illusion of something grand happening.
And it's like, oh man.
I'll give it credit though. At the very least, the ending is not a big CGI monster fight.
True.
At least it's something kind of different.
But the idea of like a crazy, like fraudulent businessman getting a hold of, it reminded me of like the Lex Luthor plots in the early Superman movies, where a fraudster businessman who's down on his luck happens upon some kind of thing that makes everything go awry. You know, that's kind of fun. You get rid of Kristen Wiig,
yes,
and just have him be the villain, but don't take it to the extreme levels that they did. They turned it up to 11. You know what I mean? And they didn't need to.
But the ending of this is so dramatic
heavy.
And serious.
It's heavy and serious. So that
it's so far away from where it starts with that mall fight.
And Wonder Woman didn't learn how to fly. You're supposed to be crying then, Jay. Because that was after she ran away from Steve Rogers, who was dying or dead or going to be dead.
She knew that she had to renounce her wish and she wouldn't see him again.
And so she ran and she flung her whip up in the air and she jumped up real high and she caught onto an airplane and pulled herself up into the sky. She flies up into the sky with the lasso of truth.
Didn't she have a sword in the last movie? I feel like that was her big weapon in the last movie, was a sword. Did they tone that down for the kids in this one?
Did she have a sword? I don't remember that at all.
She had some sort of other weapon.
Anyway, what I was saying was she flew and she was like kind of going on momentum, you know?
Yeah.
And then she was flying and...
well, then she lassos a cloud.
Oh, stop. The point is, in her mind, she hears Steve Guttenberg's voice, and he's like, flying is a magical thing. You catch the wind and it lifts you up.
Oh yeah, that's what he's saying about flying his plane.
He's waxing poetic about flying, saying empty platitudes about flying and flight and how magical it is, and she remembers his words, and it gives her the inspiration to fly. And then, you know, and then that starts to fall, but then she keeps it going. She lassos lightning.
She lassos a cloud, and then she lassos lightning, yeah.
That was okay. That was kind of cool. And the I don't know how you lasso lightning.
That's, again, though, that's so goofy. You got to play it as goofy, but this is the big emotional crux of the film. Yeah. It doesn't work. All the, like, going back to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies, those are very silly movies they have emotional moments, but they're emotional moments that are grounded in character stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the second Spider-Man movie is great. It's
Yeah,
all
there's
just,
a ton of silly stuff in that, but
Yeah.
you connect with the character.
Yeah.
And there's no character to connect with in this. Wonder Woman is, and Gal Gadot is like worse than she was in the last movie too.
Yeah, there's no like there's no charm.
Yeah.
Like I kind of first one's coming back to me a little. They're in like London, and they're walking around kind of doing spy stuff, and there's some little cutesy romance stuff between them, like back and forth.
Yeah, all the stuff between those two characters in the first movie works.
Yeah, they're trying to do something like with him putting on 80s clothes montage.
Yeah.
And it just all falls flat, and then they barely do anything. I don't remember what they do in the movie. I know they go to Egypt, and then he kicks a tank, and then we'll let Patty Jenkins write a script, come up with a story. Like seriously.
I think the first one did so well. They were so happy to have a DC movie that wasn't bad. And they were like,
red carpet.
Yeah.
Did you notice how every man in the movie like aggressively hit on both the women characters?
Yeah. I mean, I know what they're doing. Like, I get that, but
it wasn't like, I don't know.
The drunk guy that's like hitting on Kristen Wiig, and I mean, at least well, nobody dies in the movie. There's that part where she starts like kicking the shit out of him, and it's like, oh, okay, he's getting his comeuppance for being a drunk creep.
Yeah.
But if you want to make her evil, have her kill him, and then you're like, oh, okay, now she's gone too far.
They're going for a G rating.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels so clean. Like nobody dies in this whole movie.
I don't think so. Kristen Wiig picks up the drunk guy, and she throws him against a van or a truck to the point where it dents the truck, and then the guy falls back on the ground, and then he gets up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if your body dents steel, you don't get back up. Your back is shattered. I think they forgot that he wasn't a superhero. You know what I mean? That he was just a regular person. What? It's a superhero movie. People get thrown into cars so hard, they dent the car. And I'm not just talking about like a flimsy, car door or something. Yeah. Like he puts a clear, huge indent in a truck, and then he gets back up. What? It's a superhero, but does he have superpowers? I don't know. Where's the script?
Does it matter?
Does it matter?
Nothing matters. That's the motto of this film. Absolutely nothing matters. Tone, characters, character motivation, story, plot, special effects. At some point, something has to matter.
Yeah, and it's weird too because there aren't, like you said, there is no monster fight at the end. So there aren't like super long, bloated action sequences like your Zack Snyder movies, where it just goes on and you get a headache because there's so much action.
Yeah.
This just has, for 2.5 hours, it has like 2 actions. There's a scene in like the White House or
oh yeah, they have a fight in the
building.
hallway there.
Yeah, and it's like Kristen Wiig before she becomes the cat lady.
Yeah. I think that's supposed to be the big showstopper, is that cheetah fight at the end.
Yeah.
But they shot the whole thing with no lights, so you can't see what the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
That's a weird...
She can't beat up Pedro Pascal. He's just a human being.
Yeah.
So she has to fight cat lady, Chitara, and yeah, I think you're right. That's like the big boss, minor boss fight.
How does it go this off the rails?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's really confusing.
Right.
It's the problem is, well, I was going to say the problem is the script, but the problem is the script and the direction.
Well, you can't direct a terrible script. It's a mystery what happened here. It's a big mystery because it is a big old mess.
Yeah.
And the first one was good. We actually liked the first one. And this one just, oh God, just so many bad decisions.
You know, I'm not so keen on this one. I figure you are, but you know what? I'm ready to go.
I think we can do better.
So, Jay, would you recommend Wonder Woman 1984?
If you have HBO Max, why not? I'm going to say there's parts of it that are entertaining in a Spider-Man 3 kind of way, where it's like what were they thinking kind of way.
So like a post-mortem kind of like viewing?
Yeah, not like if theaters were still open, I would say definitely don't fucking pay to see it in a theater, but
right. Don't buy HBO Max.
Don't buy HBO Max just to watch this.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, if you do have HBO Max, watch the first like half of this movie and turn it off. Like I was like fast forwarding.
Yeah.
I had the luxury. That whole like 25-minute long ending where all the stuff's happening and he's screaming into the podium and all the wishes and I was just like, no forward progression is happening. This is just stretching it, and there's just this loud music playing. And
Wonder Woman's just rambling about the truth.
It's just rambling
for 15
about something,
minutes.
and I'm just fast forwarding until the next thing occurs on screen that I know has changed the scenario. Halfway through, it becomes a disgusting, boring slog that is super heavy. It takes itself way too seriously. It becomes a nightmarish mess. That's the best way to describe it. So if you want to feel all those things, watch Wonder Woman 1984 or watch half of Wonder Woman 1984 or don't watch it at all. You're not missing much if you skip it. I would say watch Doom Patrol instead. A much, much better DC product that I thoroughly enjoyed. Let someone else write the script, Patty. You don't gotta write the script too. You suck at it. Actually, I would recommend it.
I guess that's the end.